What is that?
That's a roll mill or roll press. It can be called either one. I'm going to make a texture into my metal. I've got a scrap piece of copper and a piece of screen that I cut to the size of my copper. I'm going to sandwich the screen between my copper and a scrap piece of brass. I'm opening up the roll mill, and then I'm going to tighten it down on the sandwich of my metal and texture. I'm going to look at the number on the gauge and make note of what it is, and then I'm going to loosen it to pull out the sandwich of my metal. I'm going to go back to where the number is, and I'm going to add 10. I'm going to push my sandwich into the rollers here and turn the crank and keep turning and turning and turning, and it's going to roll my sandwich of metal through. And now I should have the texture of the screen imprinted on my scrap piece of copper. Can you see it?
Yeah.
There's my screen, and there's my copper with the screen texture pattern on it. Now I can do this with paper, with fabric, lace, dry leaves. Anything will really make a texture in my metal. Now I do have pre-textured brass sheets. I can use these as well. So here's a pre-textured brass sheet, and it's got some squares with lines on it. You see that?
Yeah.
I'm going to take this copper scrap sheet, and this time I don't need to sandwich it. I've got the copper, and then I'm going to take the pre-textured brass sheet. I'm going to open up my roll mill, and then I'm going to tighten the rollers down onto my copper and brass till I can't really move it anymore, and make note of the number. I'm going to loosen it, pull them out, go back to my number. Do you remember how much I add then?
No.
10. Yeah, I'm going to add 10. And I'm going to push this through the rollers and turn the crank. And now look, I've transferred the pattern onto my copper. Do you see it?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now I can cut the shape out of the copper that I want for my project. Let's take a closer look at the gauge on the roll press. There's 2 sets of numbers. One is decimal points, too hard for me to remember. And one counts by 5. 5, 10, 15, 20. Do you remember how much you have to add to it?
Yeah, 10.
That's right. Let's take a look at some samples. Here's a sample with a paper cutout. Here's another sample with another paper cutout. You'll notice the paper gets ruined. Usually your texture can only run through the mill once. Here's a paper punch, kind of like a stamp of paper in a shape. Here's some fabric. Look at all the strings. Can you see that?
Yes.
And mesh. Very thin mesh can go through, and you can see individual strands. Here are those texture plates again. And then finally, the screen. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
Good luck. Have fun.